Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everyone. Hi, welcome. Happy Thursday. My name is EmilyHanhan, and this is my dear friend, Audra at home. Can you hear me, Audra? No. No? Audra was fixing some audio things, but Audra might have just made their audio mess up. Not sure. But
it's here. It's fixed.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I want to welcome everyone that's here right now live. Thank you so much for being here. Everyone that watches on the replay, we also appreciate you there as well. Thank you to all of the mods that show up and keep the show on the road in the chat. Thank you to my patrons and YouTube members, and to Audra's patrons and YouTube members, a lot of which is overlap, and we appreciate, but thanks to everyone. And thank you. And just to quickly say hi to people that are here. Sharon is always here.
I know.
Here. Hello, welcome. Angie, Vision of You, Cecily. Sharon is the best at welcoming everyone as well. Rose, let's see. Martha, welcome back. I know that it's a little late in Martha's neck of the woods. Let's see. Feffy, Jennifer, Aria.
Thank you, Aria.
Audra does look gorgeous. If I missed anyone, Felisa, that was the name I was looking for. Anyone else that's here, whether you're lurking in the chat or talking or whatever, welcome. We so appreciate having you here. And if you are curious about any of what we do, what Audra does, I do, I have all of our links in the description box. Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Patreon, YouTube membership, Venmo, PayPal, if you feel like throwing us a tip, all of the things, they're all in the description box as always. And welcome to everyone else streaming in now, and Gabby, one chill dog, please. That's a great name. That's a great name.
Oh, I think it's Chili Dog.
One chili dog, please. That's also a great name too. But welcome everyone. Yes, aggressive love as well. Harper, Maisha, welcome.
Maisha.
So
you have a theme song now.
I love it. So tonight we're kind of excited, or I mean, always excited, but we have a bit of a topic. I got even more excited once we delved into it between the two of us and then the community as well. Talking about body hair and all of the things that come along with it. I want to say at the top of the conversation, this was something that actually one of friends and mods kind of put into words, helped me realize this topic comes for a lot of people with trauma, a little to a lot of trauma. So if this is a hard thing, or if it's in any way, shape, or form not the kind of conversation that makes you feel good or makes you enjoy your time here, don't feel pressure. Like, we want everyone here, but take care of yourself as well. That's the most important part. So definitely. We're going to be talking about bodies. We're going to be talking about probably misogyny, societal expectations, relationship pressures, all of the different, there's many layers to it. But I just wanted to at the start say, like, if this feels extra sensitive or extra like harmful to be in the conversation, please protect yourself first. So wanted to start with that. And then Audra, did you have anything you wanted to kind of say as well before we keep it moving?
Keep it moving. This is your house, and I'm just hanging out in it.
Well, I agree with Feffy. Audra's giving me 90s music video protagonist who breaks the R&B artist's heart.
The boy is mine. Sorry. Am I doing the walk where I'm walking around like this?
Yes. Sharon put it perfectly. If this is too much for you, there's lots of other great content on both of our channels. Lots and lots of stuff. But anyone that wants to be here. We are so happy to have you here. So I realize I feel like maybe the best place to start, because this came from a recent realization for you, is maybe to just talk about both of our experiences with body hair and
Yeah.
our feelings about it. Since you're
Yeah.
my guest, would you like to start?
You're always so kind to me. You're such a good host. Every time we were on my channel, I'm like, let me just start talking. So I realized even as I was getting ready that my mom was net zero, like on body hair. My mother never made me feel good or bad about body hair. It was just kind of like a non-issue. Like, in fact, when I wanted to start shaving, it wasn't because my mother told me to shave. It was because the other girls in school were shaving or talking about shaving, and I didn't want to be the one left out. And so it was like telling my mom I wanted razors. And my mom was like, you don't need any razors. Like, there's no reason for you to be doing this right now. And so, like, my mom, I think honestly, if anything, if I had never started shaving, I don't really feel like my mother would have said anything. Like, she never would have been like, oh, Audra, it's time for you to shave your legs or any, like, I just don't think she would have done that. She would have just been like, I guess that's what you're doing, and left it at that. But I feel like society, you know, the pressures of the friends around me who were shaving made me want to shave, and thus began a descent into madness. That's what I'm gonna call it.
It's a
Because it was,
really smart way to put it, actually.
I mean, like, it is, because at first, you know, you were just like shaving your legs and really just like one part of your legs, right? Because a lot of your legs weren't being seen at a younger age anyway. And then, you know, you get into your late teens and early 20s, and especially I'm 40. I'm going to be 41 this year, y'all. Taurus season is approaching. But as you move into that, the change from like how much you shave, like they went from like trimming. We're gonna talk about the taco. So it went from trimming around the taco, you know, just gently trimming and keeping it neat, to like shapes in the taco, designs in the taco, accoutrements, uh, and then it went like full adult film, which is actually called pornification. BT dubs. That's not.
Oh, I
It
did
is
not know
actually
that.
called the pornification of. Yeah, I took this really interesting class about women and sex, and
That
but
sounds
it
like the
was.
kind of class actually I would love to take. Just gonna
Oh, it was
say.
really, really good, because they talk about the influence of how the industry going from kind of being like this dirty like room in a theater and like creepy to like having one of the world's biggest adult stars in a Blink 182 video. And as that started to become more normalized, yes, vajazzling, everybody started to see men and women and femmes and non-binary folk all started to see it's a hardwood floor. There was no more room for your taco to have any lettuce. It
Anything
had
that
to be
would
a
be
lettuce
considered
free.
the bikini area, because it could be anything. It's not necessarily all tacos. Anything in
Yes.
that area,
Yes,
nothing,
I'm talking about it in
nothing.
terms of tacos, porque I have
Yes,
taco, so I'm speaking from
yes,
my taco
of course.
experience. That sounds weird. Now that I say it out loud, I'm like, I'm speaking from my taco experience. That's gonna be the clip that's gonna like ruin my life. But it went from like all of these things to just hairless. Just be
Yeah.
hairless. And now, like I don't understand. I didn't realize how traumatizing and weird that really was until I hit this journey now, where I'm like, with the exception of my armpit hair because of a sensory issue,
Mhm.
I am not really shaving. I just, why was I doing it? Because apparently all that time I was really doing it for others. Then I continued to shave my legs just for the sensory issues of it growing back all itchy. And finally, like, I haven't really been with anybody, and I'm not really one, like, but I just don't care. I just don't care. Like, it's hair. We're supposed to have hair. Like, I don't
Yes.
care.
Like it grows out of our body, so it's a natural part of, like, it's just a part of who we are, a part of
Yeah.
the being a mammal. That was one of the things that I realized. Like, I asked on my Instagram, we kind of reached out and got people's opinions, except I'm streaming on my phone, so I can't actually look at those, but it's okay. I got a sense of what was being said, but like the word mammal was being used here and there, and I was like, it's fair.
Yeah.
It's interesting because when you came to me and you're like, oh, I stopped, and I was just like, so for me, okay, so generally speaking, I do have a bit of a, like, if we're gonna talk about like privilege, like I have arm hair right now, but you can't see it. It's really thin, it's really fine. So is my natural hair. Like, it's very like light. It's not blonde, but it's more white than Arab, I'll say. Because there's a lot of people within my family, and I even have a
Yeah.
good friend who, and I've had this we've had conversations about this, but
Yeah.
so like in terms of like, I didn't really get the pressure either from my mom about shaving, and maybe it was because it was less visible, maybe it was because of other things, and then there was points and times where I would try it out, like maybe I would shave my legs, and then I would be like, but like, what's the point? Kind
'Cause it's
of
gonna grow
like,
back.
and because it's not that visible, I'm just like, okay, I mean, like, what's the actual point? And I have literally never been in a relationship, so I wasn't getting that kind of external pressure. But the conversation with Audra made me realize just kind of how far outside of the binary I was growing up. Like,
Mhm.
and how much, and because I use this comparison a lot, but it's just my point of reference. Like, I think in a lot of ways how much being fat led me to like not even like worry about things like being attractive in the way that when people are shaving their body, it's a lot of times for those reasons, and a lot of times it's family pressure too, but a lot of times it's this external misogyny of like, you have to do these things to bring in a partner. But
Yeah.
then also, as I got like a little bit older, and I was like, oh, maybe I will touch up like my bikini area, maybe I will like trim it up, my anatomy, like, I am a very soft person, and that area of my body is soft and round. Shaving that is really uncomfortable. I either get a lot of cuts, I'll get ingrowns, or it's not even, because especially I'll say 10, 15 years ago, like, razors were not as good as they are now. I wasn't
That's true.
using little trimmers or things like that. And it's actually
Yeah.
the same for my underarms. I will sometimes wax them, like once in a blue moon, I'll go get them waxed. But the shape of my underarm and the fat makes the shaving process usually more painful than it's worth. So I kind of realized from like probably college-ish, from around college, I realized like my underarms were the only part that I really cared about kind of grooming in that way.
Yeah.
Um, and then probably like around 5 years ago, I was like, I'm not even fucking with my underarms, because like the ingrowns, all of that, I was just like, it's just not worth it. And it was like a choice of my own comfort over what what was expected of me.
Yeah. I mean, I just I just realized I'm 40 years old. Like I was like, I am 40 years old. I am I'm putting the lettuce back on my taco. I'm putting the lettuce back on. And it was a combination of Tiffany Ferg and Maddie Dreisbach, I think, talking about this
Mm-hmm.
and about their body hair and what they're doing. And also speaking with you in real life, like a real person that I know. And just coming to the conclusion that I was just like, I don't I don't want to shave that. every day. It is a pain. And as someone who struggles to like make sure that I shower on a daily basis
That
anyway.
too. Okay, thank you. That too.
That, yeah, no, you're right. Like that, the shaving part is what really turns me, like, started to be like, well, because in this whole, panda bear, I just started being like, I don't want to shower. Like, I'm already struggling. And if I get it, I'm going to have to shave. And I don't really feel like doing that. And because if I get in and I don't shave, then I'm going to beat myself up for not having done so. And then I just started being like, what am I doing this for? Like, it's not for me.
Yeah.
It's not for me. Like, I don't care if my legs are shaved. Like, because I started thinking about my life and I'm like, when have I ever truly cared if my legs were shaved? And the answer was I really only cared when it was causing me sensory issues. And as this whole thing has continued, like my leg hair has just grown longer and longer. I swear it's pretty ridiculous at this point. I don't care. It's very soft. I can't, the only time I feel it is when like there's static electricity. But I realized that like I've been shaving my legs for other people. It was never for me. And like my taco was also being shaved for everyone but me.
Yeah.
Because the sensory issues only really bothered me as the hair started to grow back. And then I was like,
that's the thing. It's like, and it turns into this cycle of like needing the fact that you were like, every time I shower, I shave. I'm like, what?
mm-hmm.
In what? But that's, I mean, that's obviously something I've heard before, but it was an interesting reminder. Yeah, like with my underarms, like if I could just permanently remove them, the hair, not the underarms,
yeah, both things,
I would consider it, because I do still notice, I will still get weird looks when people notice the underarm hair, like in the summer months. And even though I've come a long way in like how I think of myself and my body, I still get annoyed by it. I'm like, just leave me alone. Just don't look at that. Like, but I also, I didn't say this at the beginning. Whatever we talk about in terms of like what we like or don't like for our body, like if you prefer having no hair anywhere, if you can't leave the house with that, like it's your choice. Because this also goes to another point of like, not everyone has the privilege of not shaving or not de-hairifying their body. Because so I think about my defurrying, defuzzing. So my friend who she is Palestinian, like both parents are Palestinian, and I've known her for over 15 years now. And on a regular basis, at least as of a couple of years ago, we used to live together for a while, and so we would have this conversation more often. She would talk about how she is so like, she doesn't want to shave, but she's going out, like go out with a a dude or whatever, a person. And I would just be like, if they don't want to be with you, either romantically or sexually, because you have hair, they do not deserve to be fucked or kissed or have time spent with them. But she would tell, so because of her body hair and some of her facial features, she has had multiple experiences of transphobia. She's not trans, she's cis. I guess I don't know if that's the right word for it, but she has been called all kinds of slurs, people trying to call her a man that is dressed up as a woman. Exactly. Transphobic people are using her body hair as a reason to harass her. And so when she told me that, I was like, okay, I understand, because she has darker hair and it's more visible. And
that just
so
blocked a memory. I'm so sorry.
Oh no.
Oh
my gosh. If you want to talk, do you want to talk about, or no?
I went to middle school with a girl named Care, and people would call her like all kinds of horrible things because she grew facial hair. And there wasn't any, and
that's the word.
There
Thank you,
wasn't
Thor.
anything that she could do. And her parents, and I would get so upset because I at the time I was young and I was just like, why won't y'all just like help her shave that so that she can like not be stressed about being called that all the time? Because it wasn't like a beard, but she did have some facial hair. I ended up befriending her. She was super mean, but I know why she was mean, because everybody else was mean to her. And then I became a friend, and then I started calling her Care Bear, and it worked out well. But it just, you saying that reminded me, yeah, I mean, because I also went to college with a girl from Lebanon, and she waxed her arms regularly.
Yeah. Like it was arms, legs, the taco, the pits, like just everything. And so it was a good reminder to me that it's important for this conversation, because I realize for some people it's just not a choice. It's not a choice. And so no matter how much I'm staunchly like the thumbnail says, rebuke the razor, as staunchly as I feel that, I also understand that misogyny and the systems that we have to live our lives within make things much more complex than just do this or don't do this. Yeah.
And I will say, we were talking, because I do have to tell y'all, the amount of Marco Polos that Emily has to receive about me joyously proclaiming how happy I am to have lettuce on my taco. And it's not like I'm so happy. It's like a 15-minute rant of me talking about this. So if you are wondering if we are really friends, the answer is yes. If you're thinking that oh no, when they get off of here, they just pretend this is all pretend. No. Emily has heard many a rant about the joy of doing this. And I had to talk to Emily about how my change in stance of my body hair had to do directly with my interactions with men, which seems very weird, but here's what happened. I, like many of us my age, I grew up with the hair.
Just lettuce.
Thorn got activated. Lettuce. If you are my age, you definitely grew up with, by the time you were hitting sexual maturity, you were definitely seeing just hairless beings, men and women and everything in between. And I say that because at that point in time, there really wasn't a name for what was going on. And a lot of it was so sexy. Anyways, that's not where we are.
Except
rein it back in.
Do whatever you want.
Let me just pull that back in. I had a moment where I was thinking about anyways. But you grew up in hairless city. It was just the men, no chest hair, and got to a point where they weren't even having armpit hair on men. They were just in movies, hairless at every turn. And we were just hairless, hairless, hairless. And you grew up like that. And the first time it truly occurred to me that it was weird was when I started dating a Greek man. And for those of you that don't know about the Mediterranean peoples as a whole,
they are hairy.
There's a lot of hair there. That's when I discovered I like hair on a man. I was like, this is kind of nice. I'm like, I can put my fingers in it.
Something to play with.
I can twirl it. I can pull it. It was just a good time for me. I was like, I found it nice. I'm like, I can kind of play with this. This is cool. So the thing is, a few years ago, and even in between, I had kind of hooked up with men who were shaving their chests. And it only recently occurred to me from the last person that I did that with, how much I hated it. And I was like, I hate shaved chests. And it was because when it grows back, it is extremely uncomfortable, friction wise, when they're trying to hold you, you have all these, think about pores and all the little holes where your hair grows.
And I feel like it's not always the case, but I feel like, well, because I know Mediterranean men, the hair is coarser. So
Yeah.
That kind of hair growing back is a little bit different than like a finer, softer hair. So that like
Yes.
prickly feeling, that
Yes.
stubble sucks, as Felisa
Yeah.
says.
Because it's like, I didn't notice in college, but that's because they were swimmers. We're not going to talk about it. But I got
Ooh, that
older and
swimmer
I
body.
definitely noticed because I was just like, I don't like this. And you get up and or you leave and like I have some sensitive skin. So it's
Hair
like for a
holes.
few
Ugh.
days, I
Yeah.
hair holes. That's what I'm
That's
called.
not
That's
an
their
to
official
anybody, but
name
that's
now.
like
But
that
I
just
would have like a rash on my chest for a little bit because of the friction from like their shaved chest trying to rub on my chest. And I was like, I wonder if that's what it's like when I shave my legs and then just don't shave them. Like, I wonder if I'm like causing this same issue for my partners. And I'm like, would it just be better if I just didn't shave at all?
yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like, would it just be easier? And then as the parallelogram got up and off the ground, and I was dating, was past tense, dating New York, and it was long distance. I had really gotten to where I really wasn't trimming down the fat until like I knew he was coming because I was like, no, baby, I don't really want to do all this work. There's no reason to. I'm not trying to. And like that was the thing is I was like, I'm not trying to seek out a partner. And it went from I'm not trying to seek out a partner to like, I don't care if I have a partner. You need to just deal with this. But then I was also insecure with the fact that like, you know, New York was only in town once in a while, so I wanted to make sure
Yeah.
everything was perfection. And now it's just like, baby, if you want this, like, first of all, you ain't gonna hit it. But second, you're gonna have to deal with the hair. Like, I'm not doing it. It's too much. I will be right back. I'm so sorry. I completely forgot to put my trash out. So you go. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
We're like
It's
talking about
okay.
hair, and I'm like, trash.
I'm like, I don't want okay. But and I'll probably repeat this when Audra gets back, but I think both Alex and Gabby were kind of touching on good points. So Alex, the alchemist, had asked earlier um about like dating men versus dating other genders and feeling less pressure for to shave when not dating men. And then Gabby was saying, I wonder how we feel what people desired and them not wanting to date someone because they did or didn't have body or facial hair. And um, I don't care, but I'm not going to change for y'all to like me. Yeah, I think it's interesting. Um, welcome, Liz. We're about half an hour in, but can always pick right up where we left off. Beppy, I'm laughing at that. Case. Alex said, I just asked Case if they cared about me shaving, and they said, I'm just happy to be here. I think it's interesting that, like, I think so. One of the things I noticed when kind of I put out the little bit of a community question about this is that I felt like there was two answers in terms of pressure about body hair. And one was more of like a family societal pressure, and the other was from partners, most often men. And I thought it was really interesting to see that because I think in some ways our family sets us up to feel shame or feel badly about hair on our bodies from a young age. And then it's like the torch gets picked up and carried by men if we happen to be in relations with men, or even if we're not in relationships with them. Um, oh, thank you, Shannon.
I heard everything, so don't worry.
Yeah, so I just thought it was interesting because I do feel like for me in terms of the friends that I've had in my life, I have seen either it's men that they're with or like familial pressures that cause them to feel like they need to shave. And I don't feel like I hear that when it's a friend or someone I'm close with that's in a relationship with a woman or somebody that's non-binary or agender. So I just think it's interesting that, yes, we can have these like pressures from the people that kind of raise us, but we also somehow it gets the, like I said, the torch gets picked up and carried by men. And it's like, why? I guess.
Yeah, because what I find interesting is that like I've never cared. I like when I'm with a woman, I don't care about body hair on her.
Yeah.
I've never cared. I have gotten a little interesting with people who have body hair, and like with women who have body hair, women and femmes who have body hair, it has never bothered me. I have never been like, oh my gosh, gross. Like it just because to me it just seemed like a natural part of the person. So it never occurred to me for that to be weird. But it's just, I don't know. It was a weird awakening because I cannot tell you, like, even this is going to be way TMI, but even right now during Shark Week, having lettuce on my taco has made everything simply more comfortable than it previously was when there was no lettuce. So I'm more comfortable with the lettuce than I was sans lettuce. When I had no lettuce, and let me just also tell you this, menopausal, there's a lot of weird sweat that happens premenopausal. And since I put the lettuce back onto the taco, I am not experiencing like weird grease. I didn't know what to.
Okay, but this actually ties into like the next kind of set of things that I felt like were repeated themes is like there is this whole like you need to be a lady and that means you need to be hairless slash hair is unhygienic on like women and femmes versus being acceptable on men. And I think that it's so interesting once you start actually talking to people who have been like, yes, I shaved this for a while and then I haven't shaved it and I feel this way versus that way. Like hair is supposed to protect our parts. Your euphemisms are life. But it's like, yes, if we and then also there's also maybe this will be the next point, but there's like the also the shame slash hygiene portion of it. But like I do think it's really interesting that we get told these lies of like, oh, we need to do this to our body, need to do that to our body to be more hygienic, to be more presentable, but they actually are worse for our bodies.
Yes.
In the long
That's
run.
the thing is like these things that they're telling us, like to relate it, the amount of times you see like a Summer's Eve commercial talking to you about freshness and you're like, this is a self-cleaning organism. Like, what are you talking about? And there are people who are legitimate and you're having to keep explaining to people in 2021 that it shouldn't smell like flowers. And so when you come to your body hair and the idea that it's like more hygienic for you to be bald everywhere, this is simply not true. It's simply not true. And in fact, I find for me, it doesn't have to be that way for everybody, but I do find that like odors and things like that I used to previously be keenly aware of, it has been cut down significantly by the fact that there is lettuce and hair in places. And one thing I do want to stay away from is referring to being like, because if people want to have a hardwood floor and they're grown, let them have it. I do want to get away from this idea of consistently calling, saying that people look like children. And the reason I want to get away from this is because one, personal preference is personal preference. Societal pressure could also play a huge role in it. You could be shaming somebody in a way that you shouldn't be doing. Like the whole point of this
They
is
were trained by it.
shame.
Societal pressures train people to like and dislike certain things. And I agree, like removing the shame. And the thing is that if the stigma is also removed, because there's also this weird stigma about having hair in certain places, and I'm just like, if we can remove that, that would help people figure out what they actually like. And I know some people have said like when it comes to shaving the underarms, like I was reading a lot of people saying it's just like, especially in the summer, it's better for me. It feels cleaner and I have less BO when I shave. And I think that's also fair. And I understand that. And I think depending on how much hair you grow, it also affects how things kind of work for you. So I think that like it's personal experience, truly. And I mean, and Gabby brings up a good point. We haven't talked about trans men or trans people wanting to have the experience to trim or shave their facial hair. Yeah, like having hair is a like hugely important thing if you are a trans man or trans masculine. Whereas like you said, for trans women, a lot of times removing all the hair is extremely important, or trans femmes. So
and for me, like I will tell you, I do the only way that I can put this is I tried to not to speak over or for trans people. And because as a Black person, I have the experience, the keen experience of how many non-Black people speak for and over me every day on the internet, and I've had enough. So I'm really trying hard not to do that for trans people. I can speak to my experience with dating someone trans, but I don't want to speak for them. But that is a valid point, that the experience of growing out hair and growing a beard and having hair in places that maybe previously you weren't supposed to have it. When, especially if you're going from female to male, that might be like super awesome because you didn't get to experience the joy of like growing of your first beard and all of that kind of shit. Because the other way around, I think maybe more traumatizing if you are going from male to female or male to non-binary or femme. I think that can be more traumatizing because, and this is my thoughts, I wouldn't know. Anyone who's trans can let me know. But the pressure to pass makes hair more traumatizing for you, because if you're getting any kind of shadow, then it is making it more difficult for you to pass, which is alienating you from not only the passing trans people in the community, but from your ability to feel feminine, female, whichever one of those things that you're trying to feel, and can make it much harder for one to transition. Again, those are just my thoughts on how I would think it would feel. I cannot say because I have not done it.
Well, and I think that ties into the shame part of hair, that like, so we were talking last night, I think it was, and I was saying how like, I've come a long way again, but I still sometimes struggle with, okay, so just in the last, I'm going to say 5 years, have I started wearing bathing suits that don't have some skirt situation that goes down to my thighs? Because like a skirt will hide that I'm a fat human being. Like, so I've come a long way. I like wearing 2-piece like bathing suits, bikinis, whatever, but I still struggle with sometimes the way things fit. I will have hair showing from the taco area. I have lettuce showing. And I still and Thor makes a very good point. For trans women and non-binary people, shaving can prevent us from getting assaulted. Like it can actually be life and death. in that situation. That's true. It's not just shame, it's actual like bodily safety. But yeah, I just think about that, how like even when you come a long way, you can still have regular times in your life where you're like, oh, but this makes me feel bad. Even if it doesn't actually, well, no, but it does. And you're like, it more of like, I know better. This shouldn't like make me feel bad and I shouldn't care what other people think. But all of a sudden, when it gets to like something that's more rare, like showing off, basically being pantsless out in public, it's like,
I know.
oh,
I never thought
this
about
is
it.
weird. And
I'm like, I'm not wearing pants now.
I'm like, I've come so far, but I still like have so far to go. So it's just interesting to think about like how deep and ingrained it can be, even when you're like, fuck it, do what you want. And I'm like,
yeah.
right now I don't want to have hair showing. Damn. So it's just
hi,
interesting.
Kelly. Welcome to the wavy
yeah.
pan. I call it the wavy community because that's just me. I'm awkward. But welcome to the pan community. I'm so happy that you came out. I hope it went well. I have found that any woman that I have been with, hair has not really been a thing that was even discussed. But I think, and this is just me, I think a lot of that stems from the fact that when, especially at my age, when a lot of women started coming into their own as lesbians, it was also kind of implied. And I think, oh my God, that might be why a lot of us just continued to shave when we weren't lesbians, because there was a time in the 90s
the hairy
lesbian,
the hairy granola Lilith Fair lesbian was
and I'm talking like the like tuft,
you
like
just tapped into something, Audra.
Yeah. So it was a whole phase where it was just like very much where like they embraced feminism on a whole new level and were like, I'm growing out my motherfucking pit hair, you dumb bitches. And it was really intense. Like, and I'm not making fun of it. Like, that is how I felt it was at the time. It was very, very intense, very like in your face, very, we're going to stomp you with our Doc Martens. I miss that feminism. Anyway, because now we feel like we're still doing it, but we're doing it like bimbo-y and delightfully, which I'm still not mad about, but I just want to go back to stomping people with my Doc Martens, not stealing their credit cards. Anyway, but it was just like a whole thing to do that. So I don't feel like at my age, it's a big deal. And I also feel like there are younger generations where I don't know why women with women don't seem to care about that as an aesthetic.
Yeah.
And that's just been my experience.
Yeah, I would be curious to know, like, from an outsider in some ways, but from my perspective, I feel like not all women, not everyone not all women in femmes like understand the power of misogyny and how damaging it is, but I feel like more of them realize that another woman's choices, what they do with their body is their choice.
Yeah.
And so they respect that in a way that you don't always see with men, because they've had those demands lobbed at them as well, or different demands lobbed at them. So I'm sure there are women loving women that have shit to say about body hair, but it doesn't feel like it's quite as normalized as it is in like straight relationships.
I mean, there's a reason all my bad dating stories are all men. I'm gonna be honest. There's a reason that they're all men. Like, I'm not saying women are the best as ever, but women are the best ever. Anyway, because listen, the way that you can have a conversation with another woman. Like if another woman noticed your body hair and was like, I see you're growing out your armpit hair. And you would be like, yes. And they'd be like, may I ask why?
Yeah.
Because we like to ask questions as long as we're not Trumpers. We like to ask questions and
Because we're
understand fully
nosy.
what you're doing.
Yes.
And then you would explain, they'd be like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Cool, cool. And then that would usually be the end of the conversation. If they couldn't handle it, they would normally tell you, like, listen, I really like you. I don't even mind if your legs are hairy. I don't mind if you have a full on 1974, like, full head of lettuce taco. However, I draw the line at armpit hair. I just can't deal with that. And I understand that it's your body and you're going to do with it as you will. And I don't want you to feel forced to do anything you don't want to do. So I will just go into my corner. I really like you. I hope that we can like find a way to make this work. And if we can't, like, and I'm not even saying that your armpits have to be shaved all the time, just like when we're intimate. You know what I mean? So like there would be give and take there a lot of times. And somebody could be like, all right, if it's that important to you while we're intimate, I can do that.
Or are there things that we can do intimately that don't make you like that don't
disgust.
involve that? Exactly. They don't trigger your disgust. Because sometimes it's like, okay, well, I'm not necessarily willing to sacrifice what feels like my bodily autonomy for that decision, but we can find a compromise in the bedroom. So, and I also think there's an interesting, I mean, we kind of talked about this, but like the kind of comfort versus discomfort that we always have to battle with when it comes to hair. Because like I said, the main reason why I stopped pretty early on in the scheme of my life is because it was really uncomfortable to regularly shave. And for some people, like what you were saying with your underarms, some people shave because it's more comfortable, or they wax because it's more desirable. Like a lot of people said, I really like the feeling of being really smooth. I really like that feeling, whether it's my legs, my arms, my underarms, whatever area. And other people, it's like, yeah, I don't like the reaction my skin has, or whatever it might be. So I think it's interesting to analyze, like, how much of our life are we living in discomfort for other people's comfort?
Yes. Because a
Yeah.
lot of it was that. A lot of mine was, especially when it went hardwood floor.
Yeah.
When that started happening, because here was the thing, we all had to shave. A large chunk of us had to shave it because we didn't have money for a Brazilian. You know what I mean? And honestly, I'm not willing to endure that kind of pain. I'm so sorry. You're not putting hot wax on my taco. I don't care how professional, I don't care how much knowledge you have. I just don't care. This is a very sensitive part of my body. And what I don't want is having it ruined by hot wax. There are stories that I heard of like people, like chunks of skin, strips. Like, no. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna leave, I'm gonna keep shaving it. And the thing was, I was so uncomfortable oftentimes when I was doing that because, like you said, ingrown hairs, just like razor bumps, razor burn, just trying to find all these different solutions and everything that's supposed to help razor burn or razor bumps. You can't really put down there. Like you can, but you have to like be very careful where it is because you know you sweat and you don't, so you can't put it at the top part, but you can put it on the side because again you sweat. If you put it on the top part and you sweat into it, yeast infection, bacterial vaginosis, you have all these problems coming at you. Just trying to like fix the fact that you shave it.
When Alex worded this, my taco just made the window shut down noise thinking about that.
But it's like I like my armpits because of my sensory issues that I do shave. And it's because literally the second I can feel the hair touching like any other part of my arm, because this is a like a closey area, I can't deal with that. Like it just it actually bothers me physically, like where I can't get comfortable. But like my legs, Listen, here's the other thing. If I want my legs to be smooth, a thing I figured out is I'm not going to shave them. I have a beard cream
Yeah.
that I use. That's, I guess it's very similar to Nair, but like better because it's made for men. And the only reason it's better is because it's cheaper, because it's made for
Yeah.
men and it's not pink. So
Yeah.
anyway, I use that.
Yeah, I would
And
use
I've
that
noticed that my
on,
hair
like,
grows back very soft, no bristles, no prickles. So that's made a difference in me being like, okay, well, when I feel like removing the hair because I want to, that's what I'm not going to shave. I'm not shaving
yeah.
it.
It made me just think of something. So I realize my underarms are in so much better shape when I stopped trying to shave them, and actually when I stopped using deodorant, because the
Oh,
skin was all like, even with natural deodorants, the skin would be clogged, the pores would be like irritated. I would
yeah.
try to shave that. Oh, fuck no. So, like, the only thing I will do, which actually probably need to get a new one. I use it in the summer. The ordinary, I think it's the BHA solution. It's like in a big, it's in a bottle like as big as like Bioderma, with a little like nozzle. Put that on like a cotton pad or just on your hand, and like, and rub both underarms when you're out of the shower. That helped quite a bit in terms of like, and I think somebody else mentioned a similar thing, like an acne wash, that
Fucking
has
natural
like,
deodorant, not after I got them carbuncles, girl.
no.
Listen.
So that's why I'm like, with either one, natural or not, or with aluminum, like my underarms would just not be happy, and I didn't realize how not happy they were until I just
Yeah.
stopped doing all of it,
I
and I was
did
like,
enjoy that. The only thing is,
yeah,
okay, so didn't I tell you that I got carbuncles from
yeah,
natural deodorant?
yeah.
Did I tell you that I discovered that my armpit smell is like fresh cut grass?
No, that sounds delicious.
It was the weirdest thing. I was like, and here
Glycolic
was the
acid, maybe
thing.
that's what it is. Yes.
Oh my gosh, I'm revealing way too much. I worked at this dealership with this person who was a sniffer. And so I would go up to the sniffer regularly because I had the carbuncles and I couldn't shave because it was like extremely, I had to wait. So I would go up to them every day, several times a day, and have them sniff my armpit. Which, talking about it now, I realize I may have been giving them a gratification that I was not aware of at the time, which is why they were always so eager to sniff my armpits. But the point is, fresh cut grass. If you stop using deodorant for about a month and then you go past that, you will find your
Yeah,
your own natural scent. And when you find your own natural scent, this is like off topic, just side note,
it's
that's
related.
actually what helps you to figure out what perfume or cologne you want to wear if you want to.
Hmm. Oh yeah, and a whole part of this that, like, I wished, I feel like this we could do a part two
Yes, let's do
about
part two.
different cultures and subcultures, like body hair and facial hair, because I know that there was just different perspectives, even just when reaching out to the community, from people with different backgrounds, and how like they were raised to feel about hair, think about their own body
Yes.
hair. And I feel like it's a I didn't realize how heavy the conversation was, and like how much kind of depth or history so many people had with it, and like
Yeah.
the trauma too, um until today. And then I was like, oh, this is a multi-stream thing,
Yeah.
because there is so much. Yeah,
Because
I need
even
to look
shaving my
into
armpits,
what
I've
it
come to a
is, but
realization that just using like more, I don't know if natural soaps is the word, but like, yeah, using a more
hey,
natural soap for the
Liz,
body, very helpful.
a guy told me my pits smelled like watermelon, put his hand under my arm, then licked his hand in a bar.
First of all, Liz, you were in the right bar, so you should what? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, yeah.
Here's the thing. I'm telling you, everybody has a natural smell, and you don't know it because we've spent our lives covering our natural smell. Once I figured out that I smell like fresh cut grass, because of course I'm an earth goddess, but like it makes matching, and it makes like the things that I like coconut and mango, like those fragrances, it makes more sense. And it also like lets me know like which jasmine I can use versus which jasmine I cannot use. I like sandalwood isn't
It was
really my thing.
it was Liz's best friend's
Oh,
boyfriend. Well, that's a different story altogether.
I really want to know some weird stories. Just like I want just weird stories.
We
I
should just
want
do
to have
that
a day of
next.
weird.
We should just do that next week.
Yes, a day
Just
of
put a
weird.
call. Actually, we have one in the inbox from Allie that's kind of related to tonight, but I feel like we could leave it for a weird story
Yeah.
about braiding the taco. I'll just say that.
So
Yeah.
Jennifer, the way you find out your natural smell, because it typically takes about 2 full weeks to remove all of the typical deodorant that you've been wearing.
Yeah.
Um, and what I mean by remove is like you stop wearing it, and it's going to take a good full 2 weeks for like the residual build to be
Yeah.
gone. And then another week after that, you're going to be like really kind of sweaty and a little stanky. Then you get kind of past that, and then you start to like reveal your true smell. And listen, y'all, we are in a Pythagorean theorem. Now is the time to check it out.
And
So,
and
like,
for a lot of us, not everyone, because I know not everyone's in the northern hemisphere. For a lot of us, it's colder out, so it's not like as generally sweaty for everyone. So yeah, no, this is a perfect time to do it, and just to also see if you like feel comfortable like that, because I know not everybody's going to. Again, this goes back to the point of this whole conversation. This isn't to shame anyone for what you do or don't do with your body, but
yeah,
just like yeah. So, and not everyone. Gabby says I actually had to start wearing deodorant again because the BO was too much for my workplace. Like that's the thing, is everyone's body is different. Your
it
natural
really is.
smell and your BO might not be friendly, and like so
And let's
yeah.
destigmatize BO, because body
Yes.
odor is just a body odor. It's not bad, it's not good. There are just people, like everybody has different
Yeah,
smells, right? And then like
exactly.
as a general rule, there are people who are going to have smells that they find acceptable versus smells that they find unacceptable. Like in my house, dog shit is an unacceptable smell, right? But there's a bunch of like there's a variance in between before I'm like that's not gonna make it. And then there's others where I'm like, I can put up with that for a little bit.
Yeah.
I actually think that the conversation surrounding BO and how people say that it's too much for them at work, if I'm perfectly honest, I think that this comes from a lot of people who wear a shit ton of cologne and enormous amount of perfume, that any natural smell smells bad to them.
Yeah.
Just kind of keep that in mind, that people are drenching and masking their smell, their actual smell. Most people
Yeah.
do not know what they smell like what their
Yeah.
actual smell is.
Yeah.
Like keep that, like tuck that away for the next time we do this, because very few people have had the joy of finding out exactly what they smell like. And there's not a lot of people whose sensory, like senses and sense of smell is so strong that they can continue to, like, they know what they smell like, they can continue what they smell like, they can smell the difference between when they're not wearing this and they're wearing that. I'm one of those weirdos who has a weird nose. It's one of the reasons why I rarely wear perfume. And if I wear perfume, it has to be like it's a whole thing. But
Yeah.
body odor with regards to hair, I I'm not going to be mean, and I'm not making fun of anybody, and I'm not saying that your coworkers are not valid in how they felt. But they have probably never actually smelled a human being in their natural setting in their lives. So you being
Yeah.
natural was a trigger to their sense of smell because it wasn't covered.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? Because there wasn't a mask.
It also could have been a trigger for Gabby, because Gabby said, okay, but I didn't want to smell my own stank. Like,
yeah, if you smell it, yeah, that's fine. Like you will smell yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing is I had to get past that after that point, and not saying everybody should. I didn't have a choice. Like, let me just explain. I did not have a choice because I had carbuncles. But I had to get past the fact that I could smell myself. Because I had to go, I'm acutely aware of this because I have no mask. And that's what I mean by that. Like, I'm acutely aware of this because I cannot shave. I have no mask. My armpit hair is full effect, and I also cannot shave them. So the smell is very much the majority of the smells on your body when you wear perfume, when you wear lotion, your nose gets accustomed to it because it knows like, oh, we do this, oh, we do that, oh, that. Like if you've ever put on a perfume for the very first time, you will smell that perfume all fucking day a lot of times. Well, and it'll take a little bit for you to get used to it.
Adriana makes a good point. It's amazing how your natural skin chemistry can alter fragrances. Not just can, it does. Anything that you smell on yourself is not exactly the same as like what you smell on somebody else or straight out of the bottle or anything. But
two people can wear the same perfume and it doesn't smell the same on them.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. Two people can wear the same cologne, doesn't smell the same on each person.
Like my friend wears like Chanel No. 5, like the classic, and like on her I'm like, oh, that's nice, but if I just spray it in the air or try to put it on me, I'm like, hell no, like get it away from me. But it's just a different thing.
Yeah, like
oh, go ahead.
Liz here saying I have an aversion to fake baked good smells, if that makes sense. Like chocolate smells make my stomach turn. Here's a fun fact. The amount of people that I've run into that say that they hate that, and I'm wearing like cake batter scented oil or coconut and something oil, and they're like, why do you smell so good? I'm like,
see, I like vanilla. I like vanilla and cake batter, but like chocolate, not so much. But vanilla, I've always just had a soft spot for. Yeah. And Allie just had a good point earlier that I just wanted to read, and now I lost. But basically just talking about like how much we're policed in puberty, because that's where it starts from.
Yeah.
And how traumatic it is. Yeah, this is enlightening, and how triggered and policed we were during puberty, and how it starts there, and it's amazing at how it just holds on for dear life for decades.
Those are our formative years. That's the thing we have to remember. That's why I say don't beat yourself up. If you have been wanting to say fuck this and like grow hair, don't beat yourself up for taking time. Because if you are 40 years old, this has been being beaten into your head since you were probably 9 to 11 years old that you needed to shave, that your body hair was disgusting, that like this is like I shave my face. I shave my face more than anything because my foundation is better. and it also helps my skincare. I won't lie, like it helps with my skincare around these areas, but it does make my foundation sit like ugh. But you have to remember that like this shit could have started when you were 9 years old. If you are 40, it's 31 years.
And that is the majority of your life as well.
Yes.
Like for most of us in this chat right now, from age 10 until whatever age you are now, that is the majority of your life. Like most of us in here are, I would say, at least 21. So like that's you've been dealing with this for longer than you haven't. So be kind to yourself, and baby steps. If it's the armpits first, or if it's the legs first, or if it's the arms, or if it's one thing that makes you happy to change, try.
Start with the genitals.
That's true. Yeah.
Once you do the genitals, it'll free your mind.
Oh, also, vanilla and pistachio. That is such a good combination.
I don't understand the scent pistachio because I eat pistachios and they have no smell.
I know, but in the scent format, there was a perfume from Urban Outfitters that I got, I think last winter, and I ended up breaking the bottle like, I don't know, before summer. But it was like such a perfect sweet scent, and it was like a vanilla pistachio scent, and it was just delectable.
Gillette Sensitive Skin Men's Razor. Gillette Sensitive Skin Men's Razor. I do not care. I think I may have put them in a Boston Flops at some point, but yeah. There is no shame in my game. I don't care.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I had held off on shaving my face for a very long time. I'll finish this as when we're talking about body hair. I had held off on shaving my face for a very long time because as a Black person, considered like female presenting for many, I was often told that I was a man. Again, misinformed trans misogyny, which is used against Black women. Misinformed trans New York. Ugh, I can't use all the words.
Oh, misogynoir. Oh no, I'm not saying the word right.
See, my mouth, tongue tied. But this is
I know what the word
lobbed
looks like, but I can't say it. Sorry.
No, I know I can't either. My mouth cannot do it, and I wish that it could because I would probably not be single now if it could. Moving on. But as a Black
I love
person,
this. Audra uses the same razor as me. Honored from Thorn.
But yeah, I mean, as a Black person who is considered a woman, I am, I prefer they, but that's okay. I am often categorized as male, or femininity is taken from me because I am a strong Black woman. So I stayed away from shaving my face because that very much fed into this idea that like I was masculine and I didn't want to be masculine. And it was a whole thing where I was like, well, I'm not a man. And there's nothing wrong. I mean, there's a lot of men wrong with me, but there's nothing wrong with being a man. But I'm not a man. And I don't appreciate you trying to be transphobic and throwing that onto me and trying to force me to be transphobic with you. And that is something that I don't think a lot of people think about when it comes to body hair, is how it's like trying to force other people to be transphobic by you like lobbing this transphobic insult at someone. It forces somebody else, especially on the fly, who's not good with words, not good with what they're saying, to say something back that is going to trap them into a transphobic game as well. And that wasn't what they meant. And that does become very frustrating. You're like, oh, they were an ally. Look at them now. And you're like, please hold while I access your account. See what happened here is a lot of horse shit. And this person tried to force another person. And this happens all the time, not just with transphobia, but with racism and homophobia. You try to force people into it by calling them a thing that would be negative to that group. And so when it came to my facial hair for a long time, especially like my beard here, like I'm like, I got a beard. I don't actually mind it for the most part. Like I really just don't care. It's actually not something that I really even think about. I only think about it in regards to like getting the shit to lay.
Yeah.
And like the weird cheek hair that I can see. And that's the only reason I care about it, because of the way that my vision works. If you've heard me talk about my like lashes and why I don't wear lashes, I will never stop seeing this cheek hair.
Yeah.
And I will all day until so that's another thing that maybe just be like, just fucking shave it and then it's gone. And you're not like trying to find the fuck and pluck it. Like it's going to, wherever your eye is, because the hair, like when obviously your eye looking down on it is making it this fucking big, but it's not that big and I cannot find it. So
somebody with this, like somebody like myself with astigmatism, shaving would be the only way. There's no, like, I had to pluck my brows the other day. Cause like my little hand, those little hand shavers that like I just don't know where any of mine are, and I was just like, this is torture, and I can't see what I'm doing. And like brows are the one I was thinking earlier, brows are still the one part of my like hair issue, and it's not that I have Like, I actually would like fuller brows. I would like more brows, but they're the thing that bother me the most often. Where I'm just like, oh, I have to reshape them again. And like, I wish I didn't care, but I'm just like, yeah, but I like the look better when they're like shaped and the way the makeup looks. And oh, it's the pink tax, Martha.
Yeah.
So, especially in the United States, anything that is marketed toward that is pink is oftentimes more expensive. Razors, body wash, uh, loofahs, hairbrushes, anything that they can gender the female version, whatever is going to be more expensive than the men's version or
It's
women
so
and men's.
funny that you said that though, because like my eyebrows, like I just quit. I very recently, I guess all summer, I finally just said, fuck shaving them, fuck plucking them. I don't give a fuck. And it's really because I don't have a lot of eyebrow hair. I just don't.
Yeah, yeah,
And I realized that like all the work that I put in to remove like 7 unruly hairs on each side to maintain the 7 good hairs on each side so that I have 14 good eyebrows. It's too much work. I can't do it. I
yeah.
can't do it. Like I was putting in so much work trying to like there's just all these like extra hairs here, which it would be nice if y'all just moved the fuck over here, but they
Right?
won't. So it's like, and I finally just said, you know what? I'm just tired of trying to like, because I can't get them even. And I finally
Yeah.
just like, I don't care if they're even. I just want to have 2 eyebrows on. I'm gonna put on 2 eyebrows and move the fuck on with my life. And now I just stopped. I just finally stopped shaving them.
Hell
And
yeah.
they've just been growing like wildfire. Like
And I mean, I can't see them because again, my vision is trash, so I can't see that kind of detail.
no, that's good. That's why my eyebrows look fantastic. And you always tell me
Yes,
I
they
look
do.
great.
They do. Plus bangs will do
You
magic. You're
keep
just
being
like,
blind.
I will
Be blind
continue to
forever.
be. I have been for the last 30 years. Like, it was in the kindergarten when I first got my glasses. Anyway, I love this conversation, and I feel
Yes,
like we
let's
could
do it
talk
again.
about this, yes, because didn't even tap into different cultures and influences on body hair, and I feel like
Definitely need to
there's
talk about the
so
pink
much
tax when it comes to
more.
shaving.
We could do a whole pink tax episode,
Shaving
stream. Yes. Yes. This was a good thing to end on. If you have somebody in your life, a partner, someone that you're romantic with or otherwise that is requesting certain hair to be removed, they can book the waxing appointment and pay for it and
Yes,
go
they
ahead and
can.
get it set up for recurring, situations, because if they want something like that and you are willing to do it on their dime, that is for them to pay for and not you, because it's
Yep.
too damn expensive to live our lives as it is.
You're damn
Thank
right. That's the only way I'm doing that.
Yes. Yes, pink tax episode, weird stories, um all of the things. If y'all have weird stories, you can send them to 5for5live@gmail.com. And we will be back on Tuesday on Audra's channel.
Probably
Definitely
be
like
talking
the
about some goofy
stream
ass celebrity like we do.
or the 90s or something related.
I know.
Um, who knows? But thank you all. Thank you to anybody that like submitted thoughts or stories. You
In
gave
whatever way, Dr.
so
Riggs.
much. What?
I
I
was
missed
letting Dr.
that.
Riggs know in whatever way.
Oh, yeah, weird in whatever way. Weird in any way, shape, or form.
Yes.
If you want to be anonymous, just let us know in the email if or not. But thank you all for always being here, for making this conversation so much more complex and just so much more fun. And I really appreciate everyone here tonight. Thank you again. So like the stream if you enjoyed it, maybe share it out. Subscribe to Audra and I if you haven't already. And I always say, take care of yourself. Drink some
Drink
water.
some
Take a
water.
nap. Yes. Look at you saying drink some water.
It's not for me, but like
No, it's not. It's not. Just take care of yourself because, as Audra says, somebody might come for your soul if you don't.
it's gonna be me.
Bye.